And Chairman, you're. I'll go ahead and call it. Yes, sir. Board Member Weber,
Here.
Board Member Malik,
Here.
Board Member Cicero,
Here.
and Board Member Gerstein, Chairman. Mr. Chairman, I also let the minutes reflect that the City Council Liaison Gregory Carl is also in attendance, and from the planning staff, Ms. Don Weber and Carlos Trejo, myself. Yeah, I knew I was going to mess that one up. Sorry, Don.
And then we're gonna have Carlos get started, but just so you know, this evening there are only 4 members.
All right.
Chairman, you need your mic on, I think.
Yeah. You might want to just leave it on. So you'll press it. Got it. That's done. All right. Of course, we're doing a virtual meeting. This is the Zoning Board of Adjustment. Regarding the procedures, we will participate in allow participation Zoom via live stream. There'll be an opportunity for public comments prior to each vote. We ask anybody in the audience, which at this point there are none, but if anybody shows to raise their hand for recognition, staff will transfer you as a panelist at the chair's request. Comments are limited to 3 minutes. Please note your name and address. The city urges you to have your video on when you speak. All speakers before the board during the public hearing process have to be sworn in, including myself, the planning staff, and the applicant. Public comments may be submitted in writing and read aloud by staff. As of date, we have not received any written comments regarding this petition. And please bear patience. There may be a short delay in the live stream or as we kind of change cameras and such. For the petitioners and presentations, all reports and plans are accessible via the link on the agenda. Staff is going to provide an overview. Applicants address staff comments and commission questions or the board's questions, and all votes are conducted as roll call votes. Again, this is the city's zoning board of adjustment. The jurisdiction of the zoning board of adjustment is to determine when decide appeals when there's an alleged error in terms of an interpretation of the code, to interpret provisions of the code which may carry out that impact the city's zoning map when we look at different boundaries and things like that, to permit a public service corporation in which they can't meet necessary setbacks, to permit the reconstruction of a non-conforming building which has been destroyed or partially destroyed by a fire or other act, and most importantly, to grant relief from the strict application of the zoning ordinance to a specific piece of property by issuing an area or a use variance as allowed within the code. In determining when an area variance is granted, the board must have findings that there's a unique condition to the property, like its width, depth, shape, lot, topography, or other exceptional circumstances, but not necessarily something that's created by the applicant. And that strict application of the code would result in practical difficulties. That if granting or considering the variance, that it would not unreasonably affect adjacent properties, it would still observe the spirit and intent of the city zoning ordinance, and that it would satisfy the additional criteria under this section, which preserves light, space, and mitigates noise and the public safety in its determinations. So that kind of gives an overview. Again, each appeal is heard separately. We only have one appeal. We'll start with a public hearing. The public hearing will start off with a staff presentation, followed by questions and answers, then the applicant, and then public comments. Following the public hearing, the board will deliberate its decision, motion to vote. And again, anyone speaking before the board is sworn in. And Chairman, that kind of runs up the overview of the board. Be glad to read the public hearing notice if you would like.
Sure.
The Board of Adjustment of the City of Olivet, Missouri will hold a public hearing on Thursday, December 9th, 2021 at 6:00 p.m. Central Time. The meeting will be conducted via Zoom webinar and in person The meeting will be conducted in person and via Zoom webinar. The link will be made available on the city's website at www.allavetmo.com. The meeting is regarding the following petition, and this is a petitioner's Roch Richardson of Pointer Landscaping for the property. Address is 9 Blackpool Lane. The property owners are Ilana Rossman and Leonid Smoilevic. The zoning of the property is SR Single Family Residential District. The appeal request, it's a request for an 11.5-foot side yard setback variance to permit an in-ground swimming pool 12 feet from the side property line. A 23.5-foot side yard setback is required per code. The code sections that are being referenced here are sections 400, 260, yard and setback requirements, subparagraph B, the minimum side yard, in which the minimum side yard setback on lots greater than 60 feet in width is 12% of the lot width. And section 400, 1592B, subparagraph 6, pools, that the setback that's applied to pools for the side yard should be no different than the setback for that lot. All right, Chairman, I'd be glad to present it. And if so, I should get sworn in.
You want to swear him in?
Oh, please.
Mike, do you swear that the evidence sorry, do you swear that the evidence that you shall give to the board in this action shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
All right, now let's take it away.
All right, Chair. Okay, Chairman, the property is 9 Blackpool Lane. It's located on the western side of the city, south of Olive Boulevard. The only access into the subdivision is off of Worson Road, roughly just a little bit south of one of the entrances to the Monsanto or the Bear Complex. It's a single family subdivision. It's in addition to a 3-part series of subdivisions that were built near Old Bonham Road. And in this case, the lot is number 9, and it's highlighted here in the map for reference, along with the 300-foot distance of property owners that were notified regarding the application. Here's an aerial view of the property. As you can see here, it is a cone-shaped lot where it has a north side yard lot line, a southwest side lot line, and then a short little rear lot line way back here in this area, and has a little bit over 190 feet of frontage along Blackpool Lane. So we received a building permit application for the construction of an in-ground pool and some other improvements in the rear property. When we were reviewing the in-ground pool, based on the calculations for the required side yard setback, the pool has to meet the setbacks that are applied to all structures on the property, whether it's flat or 3-dimensional. And in this case, when we calculated the side yard setbacks here shown in yellow, and you can see the pool in blue, you can see portions of the footprint of that pool extended into those side yard setbacks, and therefore we denied the applicant from construction of the pool. They continue construction on the other improvements, but we could not issue a permit to authorize the construction of that pool. So kind of giving an overview in terms of why the city denied the pool permit request. And one is the property zone single family residential zoning district. The intent and purpose, of course, of that district is for single family uses. But there are some definitions that are important in the evaluation. One is setbacks, and those are defined under Article 2 definitions within our Chapter 400 zoning regulations. A setback is a requirement for where a building or a structure may be placed on a lot, establishing a distance from the front, side, and rear lot lines. The land area within the setback, and that's the areas that we're talking about, establishes yard areas kept free of buildings and structures. It is also referred to as setback requirement or setback line. Now, in a setback, there is a side yard, in there, and that's the linear setback from the side lot line established in the underlying zoning district, so it's the CSR. Unless noted, again, it states no building or structure is generally permitted in the side yard setback. Another definition that's worth noting is a lot width, because we use the lot width to determine the size of the side yard setback. The lot width on an interior lot is the horizontal distance between the side lot lines measured along the established building line from the front lot line. On a corner lot, you use one, the shortest distance determines what is the front yard, and you use the distance between the side lot line and the street to make that determination. And in this case, this is not a corner lot, even though it has a configuration that may reflect that. So in this case, again, when I measure the lot width, I measure along the front building line from property line to property line. And we'll show you a little illustration that identifies that. And that's how it's required by code. So the sections that were applied when we assessed the pool is section 400-260, the yard and setback requirements. The minimum side yard setback is 12% of the lot width. And again, this is noted that for pools, which are considered accessory structures, the side yard should be no further than the side yard setback of that lot. This was the application that we received, the site plan, and it illustrates a pool right here in this area. And the petitioner nicely defines the setbacks of their lot. So the extreme ends of the lot, or the lot lines, are along here, along this corner here, and then all the way down to the street down here. Then you'll see these red lot lines, these red lines that represent the setbacks. And in doing so, you can see how that pool falls within the calculated setbacks here for these side lot lines. That being said, staff did not have authority or any authorization to issue the building permit to allow the pool to encroach into that setback area. Now, how are those setbacks calculated? Well, based on the code, and we give a lot of guidance to applicants as they come in. The typical setbacks that we usually see are for rectangular properties, in which you measure the distance along the front yard line from side property line to side property line, and then you apply that percentage. So in a rectangular lot, typically about 100 feet wide, you'll get a 12-foot side yard setback. On a pie-shaped lot, you may get something even less. You may find that the setback distance is less than the typical, the typical yard being 100 feet wide. On a corner, you get the advantage that you could use the distance, you're still looking at a four-sided property, and you can use the distance of the shortest street side of the property. Every once in a while, we have something that's always unique. And in this case, you have a lot that's kind of shaped like a ice cream cone. And where the front is the ice cream portion and the back is the tip of the waffle cone. And when we do that measurement, we get the extreme ends of the side lot lines. And here in this case, we measure 195.6 feet and apply the percentage of 12%, which equals almost 23.5 feet as a side yard. Typical lot in the SR district will be 100 feet wide and will have a 12-foot side yard setback. But given the configuration of this lot and by code of how I have to measure that distance, that lot width comes out to 195.6 feet. Again, I have to multiply it by 12% and apply 23.47 feet of side yard on each side property line. The other thing about this lot is it does have a rear yard, and you can barely see it. It's back here, and that represents the rear yard in there. The rear yard setback for a pool is 10 feet, but the side yard setback is going to be applied whatever is calculated using that lot width and the 12%. So the pool was denied because of those reasons in there. So we talked with the applicant, and we looked at other options in spaces on the property. And the best thing, they were advised that every once in a while, staff believes that you have these unique lots, and that's what the board process is for. And we advised them that if they wanted to pursue the pool development as is, it would best to petition to the Zoning Board of Appeals. The reason we kind of advise them is as we look at their subdivision or their neighborhood, there are various lots that have that similar cone-shaped configuration. You'll see here throughout theirs. Here's 9 Blackpool in this maroon color. The yellow ones represent, our role as staff is always to help our residents find solutions to our regulations so we can all try to comply and to help them as best we can in there. These corner lots, based on the definition, I can apply a different type of side yard setback because they abut two different streets. Even their neighbor here abuts two different streets. However, 9 Blackpool, along with certain other properties here in the subdivision, only abut one street, and that's Blackpool Lane. And therefore, I have to use the two, determine the lot width and apply the 12%. So even though their neighbor to the north here may be able to build 12 feet from the property line, 9 Blackpool, because its configuration has to be almost built twice that distance, and that's 24 feet. When you think about it, it is a function of the lot, but we apply these setbacks, whether it's a 3-dimensional structure or a flat structure. The driveway turnaround that's applied for any home in all of that can encroach into those side yard setbacks up to 5 feet. We usually call them these 2-dimensional structures. But a pool is classified as accessory structure, and it's treated like a shed, an outbuilding, a detached garage, a pergola, and it is subject to the required setbacks, and in this case, that 23.5 feet that was noted in that calculation. Here's a couple of aerials of the subject property. As you look at topography, there's really nothing unique of the lot. I won't say that it's perfectly flat, but there's nothing that was unique compared to other properties in its surroundings. And here's a view of the front of the house looking northwest, and this is where the pool area would be, back in this area. And you can see they have a berm and some landscaping. You can see the neighbors, again, with shorter setbacks, having already structures in place and improvements that are closer than the 23 feet that would be applied to this lot. So that concludes the role. We denied the permit for the purposes of the calculation based, just looking on how I have to calculate that lot. I have to apply that 23.5 feet, even though that the property has a unique shape. It's twice the amount that is the minimum that the code would apply. And even though it's a flat structure, the pool, the in-ground pool, is considered an accessory structure subject to the side yard setbacks, where, let's say, if it was a patio or a driveway or a sidewalk, it could be built closer and without any variance requests, as you can see here at the lower right-hand corner. So, Chairman, that concludes. I'll be glad to answer any specific questions, but if I can enter a couple of items into the record just to make sure that they're there.
Please do.
And that is our findings. The property is zoned SR single-family residential. It's legally known as Lot 48 of the Heather Hill First Addition subdivision. The current home was built in 2015, and I believe the current owner purchased the home that same year. It's a legal lot of record. It has well over 20,000 square feet, has plenty of width, but it is unique in shape. The yard and setback requirements under section 400-260 varies the side yard setback based on a proportion of the lot width. In no case shall a side yard setback be less than 12 feet. The lot width is illustrated as 195.6 feet, nearly twice the minimum permitted in the SR district. Only a handful of lots have a similar width in the subdivision. A pool is subject to the same side yard setbacks as a 3-dimensional structure. The lot is shaped like a cone, with the street side being the widest portion, and there does not appear to be any topographical issues on the property grounds. Again, this board has jurisdiction to determine there is an error in terms of how the code is applied, interpret provisions of the zoning map, work with public service utility companies, permit reconstruction of non-conforming buildings, or grant relief from the strict application of the zoning ordinance to a specific property by issuing an area variance. And so the property should be unique. Situation should not be created by the owner or applicant. The strict application of the code would apply practical difficulties to the property, regardless of what was proposed as opposed to a mere inconvenience. The variance would not unreasonably affect adjacent properties. It would observe the spirit and intent of the zoning ordinance, and it would satisfy the additional variance criteria such as not impeding light, air, and safety. Items for the record are the initial building permit application. That application was submitted on October 20th. It included the site plan dated 10/12/21. Excuse me, from Jim Belisky Architects, illustrating an in-ground swimming pool. The denial letter in the form of an email that was issued by staff on November 19th, denying the in-ground pool, as illustrated in the building permit application on October 20th, 2021. The ZBA petition, the Board of Adjustment application, which was submitted on November 18th, along with the accompanying letter and plans that were prepared by Pointer Landscape, who's the applicant, dated October 11th, 2021. The public hearing notice, the affidavit of publication, published in St. Louis County and on November 24th, 2021. The posting and the list of addresses of properties that were notified. The staff report dated today, December 9th, 2021, including attachments, this PowerPoint presentation, and of course, the City of Olivet Code of Ordinances, including Chapter 400 zoning regulations and the zoning map of the City of Olivet, and also the City of Olivet 2006 Comprehensive Plan and the Olivet Residential Redevelopment and Design Guidelines. Those serve the basis of how we do or conduct our reviews and our analysis.
Right, thank you. Any questions for Carlos?
How close is the structure, the nearest structure to the pool?
The nearest
On
structure,
the other pieces of property, I really can't tell from that. You go to the yellow,
to the aerial,
right there, yeah.
sure, 1 second, sir. I'll try this one first, and then if we need to move. The pool area is right in these grounds.
Okay,
So here's a home along with some improvements on there. There's the another adjacent home here, and then their neighbor to the north here. And I'll show you the other one just in case if there's any difference in there. I don't want to. So you see the neighbor home to the north here.
Yeah,
And
I
the
got
pool
it.
area would be in this area.
okay.
Any other questions for Carlos? All right. Would the applicant like to come up, be sworn in?
And I'll let them speak from there. That's okay.
Great. That's perfect.
Okay.
You don't have to move.
Now, the one thing
We
though,
do-
I didn't consider was the.
That's what I was wondering.
One of these. HDMI?
No.
No, I'm sorry.
Sorry about that, Chairman.
You're fine. Yeah, who's ever we need to swear you in? Who's gonna? Thank you.
Do you swear that the evidence you shall give to the board in this action shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? So help you God?
I do.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So thank you for having this meeting today. My name is Leo Shpilevich. My wife and I have lived at 9 Blackpool since 2015. We are both physicians at WashU. We are here in St. Louis and we love St. Louis. And Olivet is a great place for us because it allows our kids to go to Old Bonham. They walk to school. It's a wonderful place. When we bought the property, we had no idea that there was anything odd about the property shape, honestly. We're kind of excited to have a big yard moving from the Central West End. We put up a fence because initially we had a dog. And so I don't know if you can see from that image there, but there is a shadow of a fence between our neighbor and us right there. And there's a fence behind as well. And we have 3 young daughters, one who goes to 5th grade center, Vera, and a middle one who goes to 1st grade in Old Bonham, Rosie, and a younger one who goes to Temple Israel preschool, who's going to be in kindergarten soon. They have all learned to swim. They love the pool, and we, our careers at WashU have continued. We're committed to staying here, and once we signed our contracts to really stay, and as I was appointed professor, we said, let's actually upgrade the house and get a pool so that the kids have a place to swim. So we plan to be here for a while. We engaged with Pointer Landscape to build a really nice outdoor facility, covered patio area, a deck, and then a pool. They came up with a really beautiful design, very excited about it. And I just appreciate your consideration in thinking through to take into account what Carlos has explained so clearly, the odd shape of our lot, which I had no idea had any implications for the future planning of the property. You know, I'm someone who is an engineer. I'm trying to think, how can I argue around the rules? You know, like if you were to define the lot width as an average, it would give you the exact same answer for any sort of lot, but it would give us a better lot width instead of looking at the front, maybe the average width. But I understand the rules are the rules, and I'm not looking to get around them. I just appreciate your consideration of the unique situation that we find ourselves in. Talking to our designer and the team, there's not really a good place to put the pool otherwise, given the size of the pool. So I really don't know how we would make it. We would have to probably not put in a pool if this variance is denied. So I'm hoping that we've shown enough to convince you that this is reasonable to do. And again, I just appreciate your opportunity that you gave us to present this case.
Right, well, I thank you, and we're happy to have you here in Olivet. Any questions for the applicant?
I do.
Great.
How did you determine the size of the pool? And did you consider, I noticed that the whole pool is not over a setback line. So did you consider possibly shortening the length of that rectangle or trying to conform a bit more within the setback lines?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think we consulted with friends who we know who have pools and what is a good size for the size of our family. This, we understand, is a pretty standard size of a pool. I think it's 10 by 30. And I think the reason that you can see, you know, the part that's highlighted is this, there's a patio around it that obviously is flat, so it doesn't fall under the same jurisdiction. I think making it smaller is something, I mean, if you were to deny the variance, it's something I'm sure we would talk about as an option, but we have 3 kids, we envision having pool parties where their friends come, and a larger pool is better for giving people room to play. So hopefully this size, which is, to my understanding, a standard size, is going to be one that is okay to do.
Okay, just to clarify, how many feet from the far rectangle side there to the red point where it would actually, you know, meet the guidelines, how many feet would that take off that length of the pool? Is that like 5 feet maybe? If that's a 30-foot long pool?
You're looking at about 6.
6 feet, okay.
But I think then you'd also have to move the pool to the side because it's that whole diagonal. So that the pool really would have to, and also you wouldn't be able to cover the back lot, you know, that side lot on the side as well. So I think it's really challenging to decrease. You would lose almost half the pool, I think, if you really tried to move it around. Because that whole
Just
dotted line.
shortening it a bit and then maybe moving it over a bit doesn't completely fit in the red dotted lines, but it I didn't know if you played around with that at all.
I've tried in, you know, I'm not an architect, but I tried to put this in PowerPoint and get the sizes and the rectangles and kind of put it at an angle, try to fit it. But as soon as you start doing that, it starts looking kind of strange in terms of the lines that it creates with the rest of the property.
Yeah, I don't mean, angling it. I just mean shortening it from 30 feet to, 25 or, 25 feet or 20 feet.
Yeah, it's not something I was able to figure out how to do, but maybe that's just a limitation of my design abilities.
Okay.
I know that when Pointer looked at it, they said there wasn't really a good way to do it.
Okay, thank you.
Anybody else? Questions?
I had a similar question. So thank you for the detailed answer.
Okay. Let's close the public portion and talk amongst ourselves. What do you guys think?
I think there's sufficient.
Chairman, before closing, just to make sure, before closing of the public hearing, there is nobody else in attendance online. I just wanted to make sure that that's
Okay.
reflected in there. And there is nobody else in the audience area that
Great.
is here to speak before the board. So then go ahead and close. at
We will
6:37.
close. And so what are your thoughts?
It seems to me that the unique properties of the property makes it such that it almost would be impossible not to or to put that pool in any other way. I'd be in favor of the variance.
Right? Okay. Who else? Malik?
I would agree. With that. I think the unique condition of the property and the circumstances here, I think, warrant granting a variance.
It's definitely a unique, odd shaped lot. And if we look within the red lines from between the house and there's not a lot of workspace there. I'm not sure, what are those steps that are on the home, or is that the design of the patio that will be there? Yeah, right in that area, that diagonal.
That's the deck stepping down towards the pool.
Okay, that's a deck, okay. I mean, unless the pool was a smaller rectangle and it was more into, I mean, not so much over the red lines. I mean, otherwise, there really isn't a good place to put it. It's just a matter of, would they make it smaller a bit? And I don't know if that makes sense. So I'm just kind of struggling with the point about it being, peculiar and exceptional practical difficulties for the homeowner.
I understand exactly what you're saying, and I tend to agree. I do think there's a lot of, this lot is very weird. It's not something we typically see. I mean, I would be inclined of granting the variance, but what if we took off, Carlos, is there any way of telling if you cut the pool down 3 feet? I mean, is it gonna make any difference?
No, and that's one of the things that maybe I didn't stress enough, because I know a lot of the times the board looks at things in terms of, is there available area, were there other options and such, and a pool isn't isn't a fundamental right. They have a right to build a house, but they can't, that house can still function with or without the pool. One of the things here, as we did the analysis, is because of the way the zoning definitions are written and that setback is applied, the bigger question is the requirement for 23.47 foot setbacks equitable and compatible with what's applied to all the other lots in there. Like I said, their neighbor could have a 100-foot wide lot and have a 12-foot setback, but because of the conditions of this property and the way those calculations have to be applied, I don't get the flexibility of making a judgment here. Is that, I had to apply almost 2 times the setback that it would apply to a traditional lot. And really, that's the core question. Is that a reasonable setback?
Reasonable.
When a neighbor may have a 12-foot setback. And in addition to that, the code allows them to build 10 feet from the backyard line. Well, you can't get 10 feet from the backyard line because the side yard setbacks wouldn't ever let you. So the discussion with them was really, I understand their, I sympathize with their situation, but I don't have any flexibility to provide a common solution to this without the board's authority.
Have any of the neighbors been consulted about this?
Well, they all have.
Have they had any interaction with the neighbors?
The neighbors, not the one from the north side, but the southwest side, they know about all our plans and they're excited about it. They have 2 kids that would love to come over and play with our kids and enjoy that time together. So, yeah.
Okay, so would somebody like to make a motion and let's see where we're at?
I'll make a motion, but I don't know how it should read. Do we have it written down?
Yes, it'll be in your staff report, I believe. And I'll see, I do have it on the screen. Bear with me 1 second. Okay, and again, all motions are in the affirmative or should be made to grant it, and then the vote takes place. It does take a full consensus to authorize an appeal. It should be on your monitor now.
The motion to grant a variance to permit minimum 12-foot side yard setbacks under section 400.260 for the property addressed as 9 Blackpool Lane to permit the construction of an in-ground pool as illustrated in the plans dated October 11th, 2021. It's prepared by Pointer Landscape from the north and the southwest side property lines.
Do I have a second? I'll second.
On a roll call vote. Board Member Weber,
Yes.
Board Member Malik,
Yes.
Board Member Cicero,
Yes.
and Chairman Gerstein.
Yes.
And the motion is granted unanimously 4-0.
Thank you all
Thanks,
so
guys.
much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any old business, new business?
No, nothing
No
in
business?
additional. I do have a request to schedule a meeting on Monday, December 27th. If you can let me know, I know you said you, Ted, you were going to be out of town. Larry, you're okay.
What is the date?
Monday, December 27th. And Omar, you had sent me. In there, Don, if you're available.
Yeah, if you need me, I'm available.
Yeah.
Right. Outside of that, I'd be glad to answer any specific questions on activities going on in the community. It's been very busy, as you can go up and down the Olive Boulevard corridor, seeing a lot of changes. It has been pretty mild, so we've had a lot of construction going on. We have the Oliver coming to completion. I think they're looking to have their products available by February, with occupancy sometime this March. Across the street at the old Ponderosa building, which is now Plant Haven Commercial Center. That's coming out really nice. It's pretty impressive. And there on the other side of the bowling alley where we'll have it easy storage, they should be starting construction sometime this spring. So that is moving along. Firestone here at the corner of Dealman and Olive, that's moving along. Again, it will be a masonry building. I know it looks like a tin structure, but that does get covered, and they're hoping to have that set by early winter. And then as you head towards the I-170, Olive Crossing is moving along. They've applied for their multifamily structure and what's known as Lot 4. And they'll be starting construction on that hopefully before year's end. And then in the area behind Chevy's and CVS, there's an apartment complex that is going in there by the Opus Group. And the closing of those properties took place at the end of November. They're in the process of doing their environmental and asbestos abatement. They've been working closely with the police department and our fire department to ensure that those sites are secure. There's 23 single family homes that were back there. They were all bought voluntarily at market rates by the developer. And now it's a unique condition because they're all vacant now. So we're working closely to make sure that that area is secured and make sure that adjacent residents are safe and in the process.
No.
Our community center construction has started up on Worson Road. They hope for completion before year's end in 2022. That would be great. It also includes the extension of the Centennial Trail. That trail, of course, will go from Worson Park all the way down to Olive Crossing and then into U City where you could take it to Clayton. So that's going to be moving along. And then, of course, Old Bottom School is doing their addition in there. So there's a lot of work going on.
A lot. Did the property at Olive and Price, did he ever get he was looking for an acre or some sort, was he? Like a
He
grocery
is
store?
still in discussions of trying to get a grocer there. That hasn't given up on that yet. He has two options. One to have a restaurant and a multi-tenant building that would have a restaurant and a couple of tenants, and then one drive-through on the corner. But there's an option that if he can get the grocer, those two lots would be combined,
I see.
and there would be about an 18,000 square foot grocer.
Is Starbucks gonna go in there? You know?
No, not that I'm aware of.
All right. Well, then we'll call the meeting adjourned. Thanks, guys.
Thank you all. Appreciate it. Happy
you.
holidays, everyone.
Night.
Thanks
Night.
all. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.